Hey, what's up, garden friends? How's everybody doing? Hope you're good. I am confused. My plan here for this video was to do a spotlight on one of my favorite aloes. And amongst the research, all the fact checking and whatnot, I became flustered. Should have been a really simple video, has become a little bit complicated. I'll talk about that in a moment. But to get things rolling, this is, in theory, Aloe Zanzibarica, or the Zanzibar Aloe, or the tiger tooth aloe. Then here's where things got frustrating. Or maybe Aloe juvena, or Aloe squarosa, which no, I don't think so, not from looking at pictures of Aloe squarosa. Some are suggesting it's a hybrid, some are it's apparently nobody knows what this is actually called. It's being sold all over the place in the big box stores as the Zanzibar Aloe, tiger tooth aloe, Aloe Zanzibarica. When you search Aloe Zanzibarica, you get all kinds of things talking about how that's not the name of this plant, and then there's some sites suggesting it is a hype. It's a whole big thing. I'm going off of what it's sold by, which is Zanzibarica. Okay, now that I've gotten through that part, it does have very similar physical appearances to Aloe juvena. I can see how that could be considered the same plant, or the narrow-leaved aloe, I believe is what that's called. Differences in characteristics based on how these things are grown too. So like I said, I'm just going off of what the tag says, which is Zanzibarica. I planted this guy up here in this, what is actually a vase with a large hole drilled in the bottom, a few months ago. It was in a video. Prior to that, I had this in another arrangement. I think it was the succulent rainbow arrangement, I believe. It's been moved around a bit, but this is its final resting place. It is until it outgrows this container, which it will eventually. Is this tiger tooth aloe? That's what I'm going to call it. That's the only name I seem to find that people are agreeing upon. The tiger tooth aloe gets about 1 to 2 feet tall, and it spreads and branches pretty freely, and this has been a pretty quick grower for me, actually. You can see in here it is offsetting, fairly profusely offsetting, has an offset here, 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 others coming up here within the actual growth of the plant up higher. It can end up forming a really cool looking clump. A clump that's roughly 1 to 2 feet high. Just like other aloes, as what's typical for aloe species, the blooming is a little bit unpredictable. Around late summer, I believe. Again, conflicting information there. This hasn't bloomed for me yet. But yeah, so it's not going to stay in this forever, because eventually these little offshoots that were around back I just showed you, they're going to grow up. This is going to fill out. They can form a cool kind of nice mounded shape growth habit to them. They may even lean a little bit, potentially maybe something for a hanging basket. They have awesome foliage. The color is sort of a lime green, very heavily textured, lovely white bumps along the undersides of the foliage. The top of the foliage is more smooth. They are heavily toothed, hence the tiger tooth name. Does that mean that's what tiger teeth look like? I have no idea. With bright, intense light, they are supposed to start showing a reddish hue, a tinge to the outside of the foliage, which in pictures looks really pretty. I also like when succulents have characteristics like that, because it lets you know sometimes when you're getting good sun on them. Mine did have a small period of time where it wasn't getting quite enough light as the seasons changed, and I didn't really realize that. The sun was going lower in the sky, days were getting shorter, so the growth on it started to become stretched a little bit further, and the leaves a little bit more elongated, as opposed to down here where you see it was getting lots and lots of sun and the growth was more stout, basically. Now have it set up with grow lights, pretty intense grow lights, and it started to go ahead. I think it's getting enough light. It's not getting that tinge to it yet, but it's only been under those lights for about a week. That might take a little bit longer. The thing I love about this aloe is it is so easy to grow. Similar to that of aloe vera, another easy to grow aloe, but aloe vera, it grows really well over time, gets huge, like can just take over its pots. My aloe that I have right now, I'm in the process of repotting actually, because it outgrew its pot so incredibly quickly. I need to find a nice big hefty pot for it. Whereas this stays smaller, and then it's going to have that habit, that clumping habit, that fun dome-shaped growth to it. That looks really, really neat. The cooler temperatures of winter being around, I'm not watering this very heavily, not much at all actually, though I do have this under artificial grow lights in a heated space, and as the temperatures are warming, as I'm getting things set up, it is starting to put on with new growth, which means I do actually need to water it a little bit more. Otherwise, I'd go ahead and let it have a rest. But all of this is new growth here. Seems to be enjoying the conditions it's getting this winter, but like I said, that's not typical winter conditions since it's under artificial lighting in a heated room. I did have this in the house last winter, and I basically didn't fuss with it very much. Not very much at all. I made sure it got as much light as I could get it through the windows. The south-facing windows is getting probably about 5 hours of sun, not quite direct, but pretty close to direct. It's filtered through some tree branches. And then when I have seen it growing actively, I have been using liquid fish fertilizer and tomato fertilizer. I love tomato fertilizers with my succulents. It has a lot of calcium in it, helps build strong cell walls, strong roots. Plants always seem to appreciate it as well. This did well for me during the summer outdoors. Just had it in an unsheltered location. It got plenty of precipitation. Didn't show any signs of rot, but it is potted up in an extremely well-draining soil. It's always a key with succulents, you know, have a soil that drains really fast, really sharp drainage, very porous. There's a lot of sand and gravel, perlite and whatnot within the soil that I have it planted in so that it's airy, doesn't hold on to moisture for a long time. This is heavily potted. Some may even say over potted, but I haven't had any issues with it. That's also because I've been watering it fairly sparingly. Put a succulent in a really, really large pot that's too big for it. It's going to take it a long time to dry out, and that can spell death for them. The Zanzibar, very prolific and forgiving with that absolutely beautiful and unique foliage. That foliage is just what makes it for me. I love the light green, the contrast with the white spots, and then those teeth that are along the edges of the foliage. Seems to have some really nice vigor to it and sturdiness. It was in the sun, it didn't scorch. It's a little bit of scarring on it, but that was on there when I got it. I didn't notice any bleaching or anything like that when I did have this in full sun outdoors. Of course, the closer you are to the equator, the more conscientious you have to be about how much sun they're getting. Outdoors in a frost-free climate, they should be getting part sun to full sun. Again, in a very well-drained mixture and fertilized when in active growth. Even though mine has started to show new growth, that's usually a sign to go ahead and start fertilizing. I'm still gonna wait just a little bit longer. So I want to make sure I can keep temperatures steady here in my grow room. And then during the winter months when I do water, I just use a syringe and I get that water all around the base here. There's no water in this. I'm just showing you for example. It was just watered a few days ago, so I don't need to do it again. Essentially, I'm just avoiding getting water in between the leaves and on the foliage. I want it going down into the soil. And outdoors in an active growth, I water heavily until the water's coming out the bottom of the pot. And I still don't do that incredibly often, mostly because it's outdoors in an unsheltered position where it's getting precipitation, natural watering. Maybe if I were someplace like Seattle, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest where it rained a lot, then I would have it somewhere sheltered, but it's not so bad here as far as precipitation is concerned during the summertime. It's a fun, lovely houseplant. Super easy. I highly recommend it. Give it a try. This is a really good succulent for beginners, just because it is so incredibly forgiving. I haven't had any pest problems with it, no mealybugs, scale, nothing. Not to say it's not susceptible to that, but I have had that with my other plants, and it hasn't spread to these guys. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. Have you guys grown this aloe? What do you think of it? Let me know down in the comments. I love talking to everybody. Or you can hit me up on Instagram at Tropical Plant Party. All my social media is linked down below. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. We can talk about plants, see each other's pictures. It's a lot of fun nerding out together. If you have any information on classification, things like that, web links, let me know and I'll post them down in the description, because it really frustrates me when plants have unclear names, because it makes it hard to learn about them and give them the specific care that they need. There's just so much variation with these guys. It just, thorn in my side. Still love the plant though. I hope everybody's doing well. If you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up. It helps the channel a lot. Helps the videos so much. It really means a lot to me. Lets me know I'm doing a good job, so thank you for doing that. And subscribe as well. I upload multiple times a week. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you know when new videos come out. Okay, that's all. Just having a little plant chat about one of my favorite succulents, one of my favorite aloes to have indoors. One of my favorite succulents. It's so pretty, so unique. I hope everybody's doing well. And as always, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.